Thank you all for coming out. My name is Wyatt Diaz. I am the Secretary of State. Tonight, we're joined by various members of the government, including Lieutenant Governor Carmen McKenzie, Representative Bex Lawson, Deputy Head Ranger Oliver McKenzie, Chief Pilot Vlad Pachenko, State Public Defender Kayla Harlaw, the unofficial yet official mayor of Paleto, Sally Nailberry, and I believe that is everyone. I don't believe we have any of the other department heads here, but if they are here, you're welcome to step on up and hang out with us. So tonight we'll be highlighting some of the recent works of the government and what citizens can expect over the next few weeks. Tonight, I'll be starting with some general government updates, and then we'll let everybody take their area of expertise with any questions people have and updates for their departments. Lastly, before we get going too deep in here, food and drink is being provided by the saloon, so if anybody wants anything to drink or eat, it is free of charge. You're welcome to go to the bar and get that. So some general government updates is we've exited the winter election. Governor Vlad Todd and Lieutenant Governor McKenzie have been elected. The citizens also voted in Endeavor Jackson, Bex Lawson, Maud Nash, Grace Stone, and Hudson Welsh. The governor's office has made an attempt to reach out to all the other candidates who had ran for office, even though they did not make it in, to hear what some of their values are and what we can do as a government to help what other citizens still want to see accomplished as Congress. We had the opportunity to meet with pretty much every candidate that wanted to speak to us. Additionally, during this process, or this last 2 weeks or so that we've had the new administration, we've sworn in our first new circuit judge, Damien Underwood. Billy Bodecki was appointed to the Pardon Commission as the PDO representative. Cyrus Hunt left the Pardon Commission, and he was a representative for the DOJ. The office for the governor is currently looking for a new replacement for Mr. Hunt. About a week ago, we also had the DHS host a community roundup in Mirror Park. The event was a huge success, and the community bonded together to repair the area after an unfortunate event occurred. There was also a LSD town hall that was held where the public had the opinion, or the chance, to talk about their thoughts on law surrounding LSD. And the last thing from me tonight is we're going to be hosting a job fair next Saturday, the 19th. It's going to be from 8 to 11 p.m. East Coast. You'll start seeing ads and things like that around the next day or two to register for business and stuff like that. I think that's all the general kind of overall government updates. Representative Lawson, if you want to speak about the bills that you guys have been working on, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely, thank you. As the current Congress, we have already started to put bills through. Some of these are small scale, cleanup of infrastructure, ensuring that we have legal systems, and then we have some more ambitious projects in the works as well. As you may know, all bills must be open for the public to scrutinize and debate and give input on. So if you want to check out the proposed bills section on the government website, you can actually see all the bills, and you can provide your feedback to the state representatives at any time. I regularly take meetings. I am always happy to hear the thoughts and input. So right now we're looking at amendments to the criminal code. We're working on, having event funds set up for the appropriate departments, and so on and so forth, as well as looking at a business growth act that would create a chamber of commerce. Now, all of these bills, again, are currently being discussed, and I encourage you to check them out, read over them, come to your own thoughts, and if you have feedback, you have more than enough time to call a state representative, sit down with them, and, I can't speak for my colleagues, but I absolutely love hearing feedback and getting to hear from the people, because we all have our own perspectives, and hearing yours is very valuable. Other than that, you can reach us at any time through the government app, and if you have any bills you'd like to see, any thoughts on the government, we are happy to assist in any way we can. I can take any questions now, I think, or for the legislature.
Harry Kennedy with CNT. My first question, I guess it's about potential future legislation. You've obviously put in a bill recently, a constitutional amendment, to give the governor power to institute state holidays. Obviously, there's needs to be some wording fixes there. We found out only 57% of people in the city were actually interested in seeing Princess Bubblegum Day actually return as a state holiday. Is that a bit disheartening, or are you gonna try and continue to try and get that day back, or what's happening?
I think when it comes to events like Princess Bubblegum Day, sometimes I think the government could be better at communicating our intent. Because I think if you just saw the decorations on the day of, it might have come across as that, but it might have come across as, senseless. What I can tell you is we were able to work with, lots of local businesses, and we've heard a lot of good things about, the economic success they've seen, about being able to communicate with the government to have sort of, make sure that they are able to take full advantage of holidays where appropriate, that sort of thing. So I'm not disheartened. I think it's a bit of an experiment. We're going to learn how to communicate. We're going to learn how to best put forward future state holidays. And of course, I mean, if the people don't like what we're doing, we're here to listen. I don't see a reason to take that feedback in a negative way.
Okay. I'll let someone else go. If not, I've got a couple more questions. Okay, I'll just move on then. We've obviously we just did a big survey. We've got the data in for that now. We haven't publicly released it yet, so this is the first you are probably all hearing about it. 55% of people want to see the San Andreas Intelligence Agency go ahead. Is there any talks with the governor's office to try and get that implemented soon?
Right now, we are still sort of getting the leftover tasks from us, Congress, and the state reps' sort of personal projects going. It's still relatively early in the Congress. I am very excited to sit down with Governor Todd as soon as possible to go over the details. I know that he and Lieutenant Governor McKenzie spoke about it in some depth during the campaign, but it's something that we're going to revisit and go over as sort of a, team with as we see how the situation develops and make sure our priorities are aligned. There's always an element of triage to government where there's urgent or time-sensitive tasks, but it's something that, as far as I know, everyone intends to move forward with, yes.
Okay, my final question for the legislator is going to be about regulating LSD. So obviously there was a town hall, a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago or so. Out of that, you said that you wanted to look at reforms, rehabilitation, and everything in regards to that. However, we've now got HR 089, which is just criminalizing the possession of LSD and everything around by making it a Class 2 drug. Is the legislature still looking at other rehabilitation methods?
We are. I can tell you that I just had a meeting with the Department of Human Services and a couple of community advocates. There are a line of sort of improvements that we're looking on doing, whether that's making sure police officers have adequate training and supplies for dealing with the issues in their community. We're making sure that we have, programs like the community-run Growers Farm and the Department of Human Services various therapies and so on. And we're also looking at what we can do to help with counseling and we're not interested in sort of having this one-pronged approach. Instead, it's probably going to be a more comprehensive thing. I intend to keep communicating with the public, giving support to these programs, and I'm sure it'll be a developing situation. There's likely no one single fix, so we'll continue to monitor things and adapt as we need.
Okay, I'm thinking I've only got questions left for the administration.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Lawson. Has HR 088, the Business Growth Act, is that back under public review?
I believe it is, yes. It was, it's something that we've been discussing internally. There are, I believe, we had a conversation about it last night where we discussed things like the role that the Department of Commerce and Labor would have, the concept of the veto and how it could be handled, phrasing. What I can tell you is that's something I'm still looking at and discussing with the Department of Commerce and Labor. I know that they've been getting feedback from businesses as well, so I would like to hear sort of what they've heard from their canvassing, and I am of course taking the feedback from the public and making sure that that's all being addressed. Obviously, with government, there's always a bit of back and forth. There's always a bit of compromise. So I can't say exactly sort of what changes will be made in what form. It's very much a work in progress. That is why we have the 7 days public. It being open allows us to collect feedback from the public, like the feedback you gave last night that I found incredibly helpful and insightful. And, I'm sure other folks will have that to share as well.
Thank you very much.
Regarding that same bill, are there any points of feedback so far that you've heard that you particularly agree with and want to see kind of moved forward, or is it just a we're not going to know until we know kind of thing?
What I can tell you, and again, like this is in progress, I'm hoping to catch up with some folks. I know that some folks were essentially worried about the role that the government had in it overall. I know that some folks were concerned that this should be a community-led project, much like, say, a union made up of individuals that is organized on their own time and with volunteer labor from lawyers and such. There's the thought that perhaps the Chamber of Commerce should have similar origins. That's obviously going to be a tricky divide, but I think right now the point of view is that we do think that this will be something that benefits businesses and the city. We do think that there has been a lack of communications. We had a business liaison position between businesses and the Department of Commerce and Labor at one point that did not work out spectacularly well. So having a Chamber of Commerce, we do think is a beneficial thing overall. And so I can see why folks would have that concern. For us, it's very much making sure that we create the right legal infrastructure to allow rights without, having it be essentially another arm of the government. We do want this to be very civilian-led, civilian-run, civilian-focused. So for us, so we're still looking at what specific changes might happen, but I hope that's helpful in terms of large-scale context, just sort of what we're hearing and what we're looking at.
Is there someone talking? I can't hear them.
All right, awesome. Does anybody else have any last questions for the legislature before we move on?
Is there a time frame when this will be approved for?
So it is 7 days open to the public. That being said, it's not unheard of for bills to go beyond that 7-day period should the amount of feedback required necessitate that. Right now, I don't have an exact estimate, but seeing how it was put on the public view on Sunday, the full 7 days mean that the 13th is the earliest we could look on voting on it. So that's sort of where we're at right now.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Ms. Lawson, for coming up. All right. If Chief Pilot Vlad Pachinko wants to come up, he can say a few words real quick.
All right, you can hear me in the back? I'm assuming they can hear me. All right, hello everybody. I am Chief Pilot Vlad Pachinko with SAFA. So I was appointed after Jack Kello stepped down a couple months back, and we have been working through a couple of projects that I am happy to announce to you all. So with the recent passing of House Resolution 086, we are going to roll out, as of today, just now, the San Andreas Flight School. So you can come to us, get additional training, and it will lower the fees associated with earning your pilot's license. Thank you to the person in the back with woohoo. Additionally, rolling out with this bill, we are no longer requiring emergency services to earn the advanced rotorcraft certification through us, but rather through their own departments, as that is typically specialized training that is only necessary to however their department would act. Additionally, we'll also be opening up that certification to individuals other than media that feel they also need this ability to act in such capacity. right, and then I'll take any questions for Safa.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. How much will the flight school cost, and will that kind of offset like the reduction in price for everything else?
So, as we've always have done, Safa's training is free. The flight school courses themselves are free. The only thing you're paying for is the cost of the exams and the licensing fee.
Okay.
Hurricane, we've seen. I just wanted to bring up. You've got your new control tower on the south side and everything. How is that all going? Is that going well? Is it, what you expected when you installed and everything?
Well, it is certainly nice to have a place to hang our hat, as I'm sure many of you are aware. We were working out of the open hangar down at LSAA. That's now been rebranded the Jack Callow Flight Center for quite a while. It is certainly nice to have a place to call our own. All right, any other questions for myself? Okie doke. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you, Vlad. All right.
Thank you.
Would Deputy Head Ranger Oliver McKenzie like to come up and say a few words? Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
You're welcome.
I am Oliver McKenzie, Deputy Head Ranger. And I'm excited to come here today to bring forward an update from the San Andreas Park Rangers. Recently, we've acquired funding for our new ranger station, thanks to the help of the citizens of San Andreas and the government bodies that serve them. It allowed us not only to reform our ranger station, but allowed us to start construction on a new education and community outreach center, kind of like a parks welcome center, if you will. Which rangers will utilize to educate willing citizens on nature and wildlife-based subjects. Secondly, and most importantly, recently the state of San Andreas has made some changes into its laws. Along comes with it is changes to hunting laws and animal care. This has been a long time coming, and the rangers are very excited to see this come into law. Having said that, we now have laws against hunting large animals with small caliber weapons, such as handguns. Large animals could be anything from like deer to boar. Obviously, things that would most likely hurt the animal severely before actually killing it. Hunting rabbits with small firearms are still okay. However, we wish people to do it safely and humanely. Another important law that came in was the animal neglect law. Which will assist and fill the gaps that animal cruelty had prior. I know a lot of people have been looking for this and I'm very excited for it. But this law will allow us to act on situations where an animal is no longer being kept in good care, such as previous incidences that I won't bring up, and bring those offenders to justice. And the last thing Rangers would like to do is say thank you to Riviera French for her peaceful protest in Legion Square the other week. Not only did it educate many citizens of San Andreas on proper ways of taking care of animals and our laws, but it really helped the Rangers and feel motivated by everybody's excitement for bringing animals to justice in their care. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Hurricane with CNT. You just spoke about recent law changes that were just pushed by Endeavor Jackson. Was the Ranger were you guys like consulted with that kind of stuff?
We were consulted over the last couple months, more so near the end, where they wanted to make sure everything was in good line with us and get our opinions on it. We were very excited to help them whenever we could.
Okay, you said it was over the last couple of months. Has this like legislation been in the works for the last couple of months, or is this just more recent?
More recently, it was a higher priority. I know a few months ago it was brought up about animal neglect and small caliber weapons. It was not necessarily being dragged along, but there was other pressing matters to focus on at the time.
Okay.
No problem. All right. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Would the state public defender, Kayla Harlow, like to come up? Mm-hmm.
Hello, welcome. Thank you everybody for coming along and for your time. Like Wyatt said, my name is Kayla Harlow. I am your state public defender with the Public Defender's Office. First of all, I'll start off saying that your Public Defender's Office is currently running 6 active, strong, supportive attorneys for you, and we have soon to have employed 1 paralegal to assist us. If you are interested in becoming a paralegal, reach out to myself or any other public defender on your lawyer app on your phone for more information. So those of you who have never called out for an attorney, when you've been detained down in the cells, you look on your phone, on your lawyer's app, and anyone that has PDO in front of their name is who you call, free of charge. Bear in mind that 1 or 2 of those names may only be paralegals, and paralegals cannot assist you down in the cells, right? So just bear that in mind. What else have I got to say? So I know that some of you might be aware that the law school has not currently had its opening, but it's soon to be opening its doors for anyone that's interested in becoming and pursuing a career in law as an attorney, be it criminal defense or prosecution, either law or private. If you are interested in that, that can also help push you through hereby somewhat possibly skipping the paralegal phase and getting straight into your bar certificate through sitting your exam and becoming a bar certified attorney. So if you're interested in attending the law school, you can reach out to either Jennifer Salison or DeAndre Evans. I'm not too sure anybody else, but if you are interested in attending law school, they are who you would be reaching out to. Other news within our department here, we have I have reached out to Monash, Park Crowley, about opening up a weekly community outreach service, weekly legal sessions at the Rec Centre in Southside. So once we've got that up and running, citizens throughout the state, the city, can come down, and each week I would try to have 2 bar certified attorneys there, and you can speak to us about anything and everything related to any charges, processes within the legal system and whatnot, expungements and the likes. So once that, like I said, once that's up and running, we will be having that every week, same day, same time at the Rec Centre Southside, with 2 attorneys at your beck and call. Okay. What else? Oh yeah, to add to that, just keep an eye out through Twitter and the advertisements, and I'll be reaching out to the news agencies to put up weekly advertisements to remind you guys about that when that is going to be taking place. I'm gonna the second to last thing I'll talk about, and I don't mean anything negative by it, but to those of you who think blowing up a courthouse is a cool thing to do to get some attention, I would like for you to please bear in mind that and to think again. It's not just, I know that some of you may like try to make statements. You can get yourselves into a lot of trouble. Yes, we are here to defend you for if you do end up getting yourselves in trouble for such things, but I want the citizens of this lovely state that we live in to remember that if you choose to go and blow up a courtroom, it's not just the judges and us lawyers that you're affecting, it is your fellow citizens that have been waiting and waiting and waiting for their day in court, for their rights as citizens to have their day in court. And when such activities that those of you who choose to blow up courtrooms choose to partake in, also affecting those people, your friends, your mates, whoever you might have that is waiting to have their fair day in court. So please bear in mind before you want to blow up a courtroom. Jesus. Think about your mates, your cousin, your family, those of you who you know are waiting for their day in court. Okay, just please bear that in mind. The last thing I'm going to say is the Public Defender's Office. We want to remind everybody that please don't feel forced into making any kind of decisions that you're not comfortable with when you're arrested and you're in the cells, either at MRPD, Paleto, or Sandy. It is your right to seek free legal counsel. Free. I reiterate that. Okay, the Public Defender's Office works for you pro bono. So we do not get paid by you. Okay, we are here to serve you. It is your right. Okay, we don't want you to feel that you're pressured or persuaded into making any decisions that you're not sure of, or that you're uncomfortable with. Right? You have the right. Call for a lawyer, and please, exercise your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Okay, demand to speak to a lawyer if you feel that you're being unfairly treated. Okay, we are only a phone call away, and we are here to serve you. So I will end off my little spiel here with: do not surrender. Call a public defender, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. No questions.
Her Kennedy with CNT. You mentioned the whole courthouse situation that's going on. How many cases do you reckon have, like, that your group is obviously involved with, have been affected by so?
Off the top of my head, if I remember correctly, the Public Defender's Office had currently two or three cases on the docket. I know one in particular that was due to happen the day after, that then got pushed another further 7 days. And I know that the attorney in charge of that, Mr. Logan Stryker, his clients were at the point where they'd been waiting so long for their day in court that they were ready to turn around and plead guilty. Now, that is one of the main reasons why I brought up the situation with the courthouse. Everything on the court's dockets, apart from civil administration, and remembering, I hope everyone does realise that the Public Defender's Office is strictly criminal defence attorney, so we don't deal with civil, but that case in particular had to wait another 7 days for the courthouse to be rebuilt. And those two defendants were ready to turn around and plead guilty. So that was a big issue that we had with the Public Defender's Office and the actions of one person, because they felt, it was going to be a cool thing to do, is to try to blow up a courthouse. I believe there was 2 other cases that were on the docket that were due to be happening late last week, I believe. And then, and as far as I'm aware, when I've talked with my attorneys, there were possibly could have been 3 to 4 bench trials that we could have had, because our clients felt that they could fight in court, and of course we literally had to deny them that right as a citizen, because we had nowhere to hold a bench trial. There was no secondary courthouse, there's no other options, and City Hall is okay for some basic civil administration, but for criminal, it wasn't a safe place. So yeah, off the top of my head, definitely there was one that was due to happen. I believe there might have been 2 others. And then bench trials, there was at least, I know that I had to deny 3 clients bench trials during the whole process of the courthouse being closed down.
Okay, thank
you. You're welcome. There's no other questions. I will leave it with, again, don't surrender, call a public defender. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Chief Justice Macklemore, if you'd like to step up and say a few things, you're welcome to.
Come on, Macklemore.
How's it going, guys? My name is Chief Justice Macklemore. I was appointed, I think, early January, sometime after the late Chief Justice Elizabeth Williams had resigned from office. Since then, honestly, the main goal of the judiciary is just to try and get more judges and get our cases assigned off. As I think the current statistic, if I'm looking at it correctly, is we have just about 30 cases on the docket, and currently have only 3 presiding judges, including myself, being able to take cases. So that is something that we're working with the executive and the legislative branches on, to try and get those judges and try and get prospect judges up and nominated and then appointed into office. One thing I did want to bring up, and I think Kayla hit it on the head was the courthouse, and what happened. So I did release a press statement saying that we were closing court hearings for 7 days due to an incident that happened at the courthouse. I do want to update, and I did put an update on the government website that the court hearings are back open. We had the fire department, worked out of the emergency medical services, do an inspection of the building, which they found that a lot of the damage was very cosmetic in shape, but the structural integrity of the courthouse was still good. And then we had Public Works in there for a couple hours trying to clean up and replace all the furniture. So it's good to announce that we're back to hearing court hearings. And I think that's pretty much everything I have, unless there's any questions.
Hurricane Tinty, just about the whole explosion and everything that's going on there. Obviously, some facts are still unclear about. We had a second courthouse that sort of closed. Is it time that we reconsidered maybe reopening, not specifically that one, but potentially in another location, or maybe even establishing one out in the county?
That is something that's getting discussed. It's not on the books currently. That is something that we're gonna have to discuss with some architects and some blueprints, and then some creators of blueprints, and again, talk to the federal government, see if we can get that introduced. But it is something that's getting discussed, but we don't have any idea if that's actually going to happen or not.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
other questions? And with that being said, I'll give it back to the capable hands of Secretary Diaz.
Alrighty. And last but not least, if Sally would like to come up and say a few words about Paleto and general activities going on up here.
Sally's now mayor.
All right, hello, I'm Sally. I run the surf shop in town. Hello. So I just want to say a few things about just kind of stuff around Paleto. So within the last kind of like I want to say month or so, if anybody up here has been maybe looking for the hardware store that used to be at the post op center, it's moved down the street to the hardware store by the clothing store. It's not like a huge thing, but if you were looking for it, that's where it is. Besides that, we also have a few new businesses that have opened up here recently. We got Naughty Neighbors Brewery just down the street. They have a variety of beers, all very good. There's also Duke's Moonshine, that's down by the Bayview Lodge Motel, just down the way, closer to the shoreline. Their moonshine's a little different than Yellow Jack's, but it's still very good. Not quite as painful as Yellow Jack's at times. Of course, there's also Pop's Diner. That's opened up just a little ways up the highway eastbound. A very nice retro diner run by Brandon Jacks. They have a variety of very nice diner-based food, so you should definitely check that out.
Sorry about that, bud.
Of course, there's also Fukuru. They have car parts and are supplying wear and tears with materials. Just definitely go to them for that. As far as business updates, Reaper's Repair is now known as Paleto Customs. They've had a sign change and everything. Along with that, you might also notice that the tattoo shop up here, Indigenous Tattoo, now has a sign. So that's more visible as Indigenous Tattoo. Yeah, and then as far as like other around updates, I mean, obviously the gas station is blowing up about as often as it normally does. So that's, it is what it is. Got a couple of the locals. Yeah, and then I think recently we found out that the tramway up to Chiliad is running apparently. So if anybody is into the sites or wants base jumping or whatever, that's open. As far as I understand, it seems to work fine and dandy. So, yeah. I think that's all my Paleto mayoral announcements and things. If anyone has Paleto questions, I mean, I can attempt answering, or surf shop questions, I guess.
I guess I have a question.
Shoot.
Can we put like a barrier or something in front of the gas pumps so that the trucks will stop blowing themselves up?
At the, sometimes they hit that terminal velocity where I think they fly over the pumps anyways. So I don't think that barriers would do anything, to be honest.
That's beautiful.
Sorry, I'm late. Got out of prison. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you for coming up and giving some news about Paleto. All right.
Woo! Yeah, Paleto.
So yeah, I think that about wraps this up. If anyone has any final questions about any of the departments that weren't here, like SO or PD, I can take those now and either answer those questions or get back to you when I have an answer. Does anyone have any questions for them or Doc or anyone like that?
I've got a couple of questions for the administration.
Yeah, go ahead.
First one is, as I said earlier, we did polling. We found that only 31.5% of people actually support the Surgeon General's reappointment for the 4th time. Is that concerning?
31? That's high.
So I agree that is a high number of people that disapprove of for a reappointment. I mean, as it stands right now, the administration and the legislature both agree that Ms. Martindale is doing what she can to best run the hospital, and the hospitals across the state. So yeah, I mean, right now we're pleased with her continuing. I mean, it's possible, but yeah, I mean, right now we feel that Ms. Martindale is doing the best she can with the resources she has.
Bless her heart.
Can I please ask a question to add on to that?
Yeah.
So why is it taken, I could give you one example, so why is it taking so long to release bodies that are in the morgue after people have passed away? Why is it so difficult to get a death certificate and a body released? Because it took me about close to 2 months to get my friend released to me who had passed away.
So it's unfortunate to hear you had that situation. To be honest, I'm not sure how many doctors are certified to do autopsies and release bodies, but that's something I can reach back out and get that facilitated to the media when I find out more.
My final question, if that's all right, I just have it's regarding polling again. We both did some polling. We found that only 35.2% are happy with Vlad Todd's governorship so far. Obviously, early days, because there is still 42.6% that are undecided. Is this reassuring from the administration's position, or are you just like pleading to the people give us more time?
So yeah, so I think that we've been in this administration a whole whopping week. I think that people need to give it a chance to see a week to have 2 weeks, something like that. It's been a few weeks. We still are in the early time of this this Congress, and we still have 3-4 months to go on this till the next voting period. So I would say that I'm not concerned at all about that. I would say we just need to build more on the foundation we have and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about medical.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that resources are kind of off when it comes to medical, but there's been a lot of issue with people coming into the hospital for care, and there being doctors around, but no doctors are responding, or no doctors are they'll literally be standing around. And I understand they may be busy, there might be paperwork, but there's people who have overdosed or are in cardiac arrest about to die, you know,
Yeah.
And there's
So
nobody
from-
responding to it.
Yeah. So, from my understanding, there are 20 or more residents and nurses that are still in their training to be a doctor. With them still being in their training, they have to obviously shadow other doctors that are more senior and have been doing doctor, duties for a longer time. So I think that's why we see an issue with that. I think that as we get those new doctors and new nurses fully trained and hired on, then that will resolve itself with there being more doctors available to help where they can.
Well, shouldn't
I think
there
it's.
be?
I think it's. Go ahead.
If they are the only ones there, at the end of the day, I do understand that they are shadowing people, but they'll literally just watch somebody die or watch somebody almost die and be like, oh yeah, the local doctor will take care of you, which is fine. I get it, that happens. But if there's there are people who are training and they just aren't allowed to help at all. Is that what we're hearing?
The fuck is that shit?
I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I don't run the hospital, so honestly, I can't. Yeah. I'll have to talk to Dr. Martindale about that and see where residents and people in training can help more. But I mean, yeah.
Are there just no other candidates to run the hospital, or what?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I believe that there's other people that are qualified to run the hospital, but at this time, we're confident in Dr. Martindale's ability to run Mount Zona and the other hospitals in the state.
Well, the people aren't.
All right. Does anyone else have any final questions before we wrap up here? All right. Well, thank you all for coming out to this evening's town hall. We hope to do these more often. We're looking to do 1 or 2 a month, or at least 2 a month. One here in a community venue and one at City Hall. So yeah, as always, if you have any kind of questions, feel free to reach out to myself or your representatives. I know Governor Todd and Lieutenant Governor McKenzie appreciate receiving phone calls from the public for any questions that people have. All right. If anyone has not gotten any kind of catering, food, drink, snack, anything like that, you're welcome to make your way down to the bar. And yeah, so thank you all for your time and have a good night.
Thank you.
So I guess